Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Bienvenue à tous to SRF Weekend Warriors presented by RaceVoice. Last week, we saw cars roaring through the Villeneuve section of Ferrari's home track at Imola. This week, we race at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, named for that very same Ferrari Formula One driver. What a race we will have! As always, the Spec Racer 4 demands the utmost of respect and a light touch, not unlike learning to swear properly in Quebecois French. Too many people try to go too hard right out of the gate, and it always ends in tears. I am Jim Hodgson. Joining me on commentary today is old Double Gauche himself, Larry Lefty McLeod. And in the production booth is none other than the Avril Lavigne to my Celine Dion, Marco Barbanera. Larry, what can we expect from today's race?
We can expect just a constant flow of close racing here at the chicane madness here of the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. This place has got straightaways that create drafts separated by one chicane after another. And those chicanes present tall curves in some cases that will get the slow drivers caught out. And when you're not fighting tall curbs, you're going to be fighting the ever close and closer, sometimes even walls, especially that ever famous wall of champions there at the last corner before our start-finish straight. It's a test of nerve and a test of skill to keep yourself off the wall for 40 minutes here today.
Absolutely. I could not be more excited. I just had a note this morning from series organizer Stevie Ray that the strength of field in this league is over 3,000 every week. So you're going to see some of the best drivers on the service choosing to drive this car, as we see Paolo Bremi having a big problem, and we see Stephen Mitchell having a problem as well. Look, just trust me, these are great drivers, guys.
Yep, these are the chicanes. You catch one of those chicanes wrong, and that's what Paolo just did there, and you catch a little bit of grass there in that first chicane, turns 3 and 4, causes that bit of spin. It really is a test of just barely hanging on to that chaos.
You bet. All right. Just want to say thank you so much to RaceVoice for sponsoring this series. RaceVoice is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Weekend Warrior Spec Racer Ford Racing Series. Take your driving to the next level with on-track audible performance alerts, RaceVoice and RaceVoiceSIM. And the name of those products, you can hear miles per hour, turn entry and exit speeds, upshifts alerts, and other performance metrics which are selected and configured by you. You can go faster with the speed of voice. Plus, Weekend Warriors get 50% off annual pricing using the promo code of WW50. Check them out at www.racevoice.com. And we will be getting underway here shortly, I do believe. And I'm not sure. Well, we skipped over the the championship points, but we'll get to them in a minute. Here is your grid. Rafael Berbagal, no surprise to see him in P1, followed by Aero Nam. There will be a big battle at the front of this field because they are joined by Austin Winter and Forens Arabian on the second row, who are also followed by Maurizio Naselli and Jurg Manny in P6. A great result for Manny, I think. They're followed by David Bohm, a man who loves to drive the car, perhaps too much, followed by Jeff Fritcher in P8. A great result for Fritcher. On P9 there, we have Bobby West, followed by Michael Dobek in P10, Dominique Bureau in 11th, and Ian Haycox in 12th. They are followed, of course, by Dan Sadro, Antonio Race, Jesus A. Rodriguez, Thomas Renders, Miro Haraski, Josh Arnold in P18, Yuri Cox, Tim Van Dormelen in P20, Mick Carr in 21st, and Stephen Elson in 22nd. Followed by Antonio Jalbert and Stevie Ray in 23rd and 24th. Stevie Ray, thank you so much for organizing this series. It is the best, the highlight of my week. They're followed by Nico Schuck, surprising to see him all the way down in P25, and Paolo Bremi in 26th. They're followed by Henrik Kamara, Ken Batley, Jason Perry in 29th, and Tom Gradwell in 30th. In 31st, we have Brian D. Short, followed by Peter Mizurek, Adam Bradshaw in 33rd, and Jerry McAreevy, the singing Scotsman, in P34. He is followed by Chris Georgiandelis in 35th, and Claudio Vacalebre in 36th. It looks like we're going to have a wreck on the formation lap. Careful, guys. In P37, it's Bob Kern, followed by Michael Nelson, Joost Simpkins. Oh, dear, we're skipping through. Oh, well. We got a good race to start here. Here comes your leader. Berbagal is leading the field, and he's got a little bit of a gap headed into Senna here. It looks like, although everybody has closed him up, Aero Nam is under threat from Winter and Arabian behind.
Managing to get themselves straightened out, though, as they come through that opening Senna section, as they head towards that first chicane. And this is where you got to be straightforward and in single file. You start going side by side through turns 3 and 4, and it can be madness. But the back of the pack, usually that kind of thing happens.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see some incidents as we got a heavy braking zone here. And you do want to rotate the car under braking if you can. I believe that's the fastest way through 6 and 7. but you can also over-rotate the car and end up in the wall, as I have done many times. Here come your leaders once more to the chicane. We'll see how they handle these sausage curbs. I wouldn't be surprised to see Rafael Berbigal bouncing over these sausage curbs again like he was last week.
Yeah, he was definitely using them a lot at Imola, and you can see here, yep, you get that left tire right on it. Now, if you try to center that car, we'll just spin the car completely out. But the trick is, like what you just saw there, the left tire is just climbing it, and you can get on the gas really early to get this nice long run down to the hairpin.
Well, here we come to the hairpin, another hard braking zone. Getting this right is so critical. It's not just the braking, is it? It's when you get back on the power, you can very easily spin this car around. There's Antonio Race, I believe, navigating the hairpin there. He's got a little bit of a pack going on himself. Race, of course, new to Spec 1, formerly the winner of Spec 2 in last season. And speaking of Spec 2, it looks like Haraski so far is leading Spec 2. The Spec 2 cars, of course, have their numbers over 200, so that looks like Haraski, followed by Breme and Jalbert in 24th and 25th. Here's Berbigal through the wall of champions. I would expect at some point in this race to see a car feeling not at all like a champion after hitting the wall there. It's a very common thing. I've done it myself in the race I was just in 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, definitely. You can already see a bit of a breakaway there with that top 9 or top 10 now breaking away from the rest of the field. One of the names that we had seen there was our Canadian, Dominique Bureau. Had started this race in 10th, already down to 23rd. A rough start for him.
Well, they certainly do happen. Here is Race leading his pack. I think he's got Haycox and Sadro and Rodriguez. Something must have happened to Sadro the opening lap, although I guess he didn't qualify too terribly well, did he? Sadro, yeah, he's still in P13, which is exactly where he qualified.
There's Bureau there. Now you can see him trying to make his way through, but unfortunately he gets a little bit too much of that curb. Not having to start to this race, he was expecting to have started there in the top 5 rows. Now he's got a lot of work to do coming out alongside Stevie Ray here out of the Senna section.
Yeah, it's tough. That turn 1 is tough there because, there's some contact between Tim Van Dormelen and the number 56 machine of, not sure who that is. Or probably the number 86 machine of Cox. But that first turn there it looks like you can drive over that curb easily, but it's kind of got a hole in it. And when you when you go over it, you get exactly what we got just then.
Yep, and that looks like Steve Elson there, the 56, alongside of Van Dormelen, but they've got Ray right behind him, and Steve Ray loves to mix it up with moves like this.
Well, he should do. He is, of course, he's serious. He's the beating heart of the community, is Steve Ray. He does all of the hard work to organize this thing, and we love him for it. Here we are looking at the rear of Rafael Berbigal's car. Let's see where he brakes for this Wall of Champions section and how much curb he takes. I know at these...
now I'm taking all the curb.
Yeah. We started to see this from him. I guess it's probably not anything new to him, but I noticed it when we were running at Charlotte. He was just taking heaps of curb, and he did the same thing at Imola.
You can be precise about it, get away with it. A lot of us just aren't precise enough, and you can get away with it, once, twice. But if you just miss that curb by just a skosh, and suddenly your car is riding the center line of it right over that curb, and then you're spinning out. But if you're as precise as Rafa Berbigal, you can do it lap after lap, and it looks like it's out of control. But to him, it's perfectly control and time just so right.
So here we have a little pack of Race, Haycock, Sadro, and Rodriguez. And that is going to be a good battle, a good midfield battle, I would think. All those guys, very good drivers. Something has happened here to Renders. I think he's moving slowly. He might have cut one of those corners and gotten a slowdown. Elson is going to be able to get by. And I believe Ray was able to get by as well.
It's actually Paul Jackson, the 249 there, and that red-white car going a little bit slow. A lot of folks trying to get their way around him.
Yeah, one of the great things about this league is that we have such big fields because it makes for, and it's a big field and everybody is so closely matched. So we get a lot of racing all the way up and down the timing tower. It looks like we're going to have a little bit of a replay here.
3 wide here, though, coming into the second chicane.
Oh, we got
3 wide, just made it about 2 wide with some contact ahead.
So that was a missed braking point and a little bit of a taparoo.
I see Hugh Haycox in the middle of that, trying to make up a couple of spots. He's at 34.
Well, these things do happen. And it looks like we're back underway again. I assume those are cars. Oh, they're brick walls.
Yeah, so you've got in the middle of there. I think we've got I think who all these folks are. Claudio and Chris Georgandalis, I think, are the other 2 cars in the mix there. But it is quite a pack. And then you get this draft down the casino straight. And at some point down here, you've got to sort it out. You can go too wide through the chicane leading to the wall of champions, but somebody's got to give up a little bit. You can't go through there with a lot of speed side by side.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to make that sort of choice. Like, do I think I can get, not only do I think I can get through here, but do I think I can get through here safely, as there's a car slowed down in the rear there.
Which again, with Paul Jackson, who just gone from bad to worse, a little bit of contact there, unfortunately for him.
No! That is exactly what you don't want to do when you have an incident, is drive back onto the racing line. I guess he was probably trying to get out of the way. The number 249 machine there was trying to get out of the way of everybody at the wall of champions, but in doing so brought himself, here's a replay. Oh, it looks like he got a little tap in the rear there.
He may have had some help. It is tough today. They're so tight coming off the longest and fastest straightaway on this track to get it slowed down. And then as he's just off to the right here, gets a little bit of help, a little tap from behind.
Wow.
Yeah, he's having a rough go with this one.
Yeah, that is... Really got mugged a number of times, didn't he? Was that Jackson?
Yeah, it was. All right, so then we're going to take a look here at Johan Butenga coming out of this J, and then unfortunately right there in front of Jackson again. He is just having a awful day here as Paul Jackson.
Well, I just want to say that even though it might seem like this is chaos, but any other group of this many people in this car on this track would be absolutely worse. These guys are all friends. They all chat together all week long. So this is, it might not look like it, but this is actually maximum respect.
But this front five is doing kind of what they had done last week. Getting into a train, discipline, sticking together. Somebody in this train is saving fuel.
Well, let's see. Naselli with the fastest lap of the race so far, a 1:55.9. Holy smokes, that is fast. To give you any kind of idea, I was pretty proud of doing a 2-minute flat in my previous race. As we're looking at the rear of Nam, who is all over the rear of Burbigal, exactly as you were saying. And it looks like we're going to catch a back marker of some kind ahead shortly, so that could throw a wrench into the works.
It could, because this place is tough to get around, because some of these chicanes are just awfully slow if you're trying to get around somebody. It is the 314, I believe. Yes, it is, wearing the number pi.
Yep, with a Speed Racer livery, unless I miss my guess.
Yes, it is.
So, if these guys catch him before this chicane, which I don't think they're going to, it could compromise the hairpin, though. We'll see what happens here.
That's Arthur Grant. Arthur's really good about moving aside, letting folks go by. You actually hear him a lot of times on cam. On the comms, he'll just say, go right, go right. In this case, you watch, he'll slow down, let the crowd go by. Yep, that's what he's doing.
Well, like I said, it is so good to have so many cars on track, because it means we have so much racing to watch all over the place. Speaking of which, let's check in, if we could. This lead train is powering away. It looks like Naselli might have had a little bit of trouble getting his car started after the hairpin. Here is a battle. I think that's...
It's Ian Haycock's in the middle there. I think he's got Jesus Rodriguez off his tail as well. And then we get the 36 of Josh Arnold leading this train.
And there's Renders.
Renders, yeah. This foursome swapping positions, which is what ends up happening here. This straightaway, even if you're trailing in the middle, you get that giant hole in the wind of 2 cars in front of you. You start looking down at your relative lap times, and suddenly you're a half a second up, because that giant hole in the air that it punches for you, you just get to catch right on up to the pack in front of you, and next thing you know, you're going into turn 1 side by side.
Oh dear, had a little issue in the rear there. Van Dorman looks like he is all by himself. He'd love to catch up to Renders, I'm sure. Here we are breaking into the Senna section. You can see that turn 1 hole I was talking about there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you don't want to cross that too much. You need to use some of that curve, but you can't use all of it. Because these cars, they don't like you dropping tires too much. So if we stay on board here for a second, you'll see how this turns 3 and 4 work. You catch a tire just off the right there too far, or to the left here too far, and the car will just grab and hook. But you do want to use all the way out to the walls, all the way to this right side wall. There's a lot more grip to the inside. And I think, as you said earlier, this next corner 6, you really want to use the brakes to rotate the car. There's a lot of technique in making the car work around here. Otherwise, the car tends to push and do a lot of weird things. But
Yeah,
it takes a lot of practice.
a lot of radius on turn 7 there, so it's like I was having trouble with this track and just trying to stay sort of tight to the inside of the turn, but you want to track it out like we saw these guys just do. This group is,
if you can carry a lot of speed, it's okay to track it out. But if you really haven't caught the speed, then you just want to cut the distance out. So the trick with 6 and 7, get the car to rotate early, but as soon as the car finishes rotating left, you almost jerk the car to the right to cut those curbs on your right-hand side while you're on the gas hard. And then you find you don't track as wide either.
well, speaking of on the gas hard, excuse me, we're on board with Renders as he sees Arnold, Rodriguez, and Haycock's getting away a little bit, I think. Looks like our train of leaders back to Naselli is all still in a pack. A little bit of a gap back to the number 43 machine of Fritcher. You can see on the timing tower there. We're going to see if Renders can do any sort of magic into this Wall of Champions section.
It's able to get a pretty good run, but you know, if you really want to pass anybody, you've got to be right on their tail. As we can see, looks like maybe a pass happening up at the front of this pack.
Ooh, it's going to be a break off.
Arnold and Rodriguez going side by side.
Oh,
and
no.
that's going to end in tears. So that is the 30 of Jesus Rodriguez going around.
And I can tell you, if you spin right there, often if you spin and get off the track right there, when you come back on, sometimes the service will give you a black flag because it thinks that you cut the curb at Senna, even though that's not what happened. So I hope that didn't happen ahead.
Looks like 206 of Kern, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's Bob Kern there. Oh, dragging a tire off the side there. It's the 07 Mick car. There isn't a lot of grass around here, but when you find it, it is slippery.
Yep.
Look at all the damage already, just the way this place is. And there's a little bit more as Bob Carr gets into the back of 314. We'd seen earlier. That's Arthur Grant. We'd seen him earlier.
Well, the 314 machine really getting beat up.
He is a little bit. Yeah, this is a tough place. You just come up on the back of somebody and you're trying to hit your marks, hit your turn-in points, and suddenly the car going a little bit slower than you expect in some of these chicanes. But at the front,
it's like, all that was going on. We've had a lead change. Nam now leading Burbagal through the Wall of Champions, and Nam doing the taking a lot of sausage curb there as well. Here is your lead group all the way back to Naselli. As we see in the distance, Bohm has overtaken Fritcher, although it looks like Fritcher might want to try and overtake himself on Bohm headed into turn 1. Winner heavily overcooks turn 1. I'm surprised to see that. And he's got Arabian all over the rear of his car now. And Naselli, it looks like, might be able to capitalize.
And it's always my concern when something like that happens, is all it takes is you slip a little bit more than a second out of the draft. And with drivers as fast as Burbagal and Nam can be, even a winner may have trouble catching that draft. So right now, they're still in it. Managed to not lose too much time.
Yeah, and it is tempting, isn't it, to say to yourself, well, I need to catch these guys up, so I'm going to back up my braking point. Something has happened to Fritcher, and Bohm has gotten by. So you say to yourself, I'm going to back up my braking points and try to be faster, but it just doesn't really work out that way, does it?
No, you've just got to know there's precision only works. You got to know exactly the right mark works. Any earlier, any later, just is always going to be slower.
Well, here we are looking rearward at Kern's car from Gradwell's gearbox. A great little battle here going on for 29th position. Gradwell has got a little bit of damage to his machine.
Not a lot of clean cars still left out here in the field right now. Everybody's got a little bit of ding, a little bit of something. Here's one of our clean ones. That's Renders there in the 641.
Well, I think, wow, he does have a pretty clean car so far. Nice work,
Currently
Renders.
leading Spec 2. Maybe that's the trick. Staying clean helps you hold your position. He's currently leading the Spec 2 category, just a couple of spots ahead of Miro Rasky.
Yeah, I wonder if Rasky will be able to catch him up. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Of course, we do have the pit strategy to work out coming up shortly. I would think that window is probably open, being as we're starting lap 9 now, or the leaders are.
And that's Rasky within draft zone of Elson. So if Rasky can get a little bit of help with that draft, he and Elson might be able to work together to catch Renders. And then, like you said, we are essentially within the pit window now. Anything less, you get beyond that 12, 13-minute area, and you're within that window, and you're Manny taking advantage of that to get his pitting done now.
Although might as well.
His car looked pretty clean coming in, so in this kind of a race, my strategy might be to wait as long as I can in case I take any damage, because you only get one chance to get that new car replacement.
Well, you called it, didn't you? Winner is indeed having a little bit of trouble closing up the gap to Nam and Berbigal. That's Winner leading that group of, that's Winner, Arabian, and Naselli. Looks like Winner is taking a slightly defensive line there. Probably going to have to. Arabian will definitely would like to get by. A back marker ahead, soon to be dealt with by Nam and Berbigal.
Yeah, Winner
driving all over the sausage curbs.
Winner, Arabian, and Naselli now have to kind of hope that their pit stops can be faster or lap traffic comes into play, because they are definitely outside of draft zone now. Even working together is going to be tough because Nam and Berbigal appear to be working very well together as well. Okay,
Larry, so you're looking at, you get to pick which driver you are in this field. Which driver do you pick, and what's your pit strategy?
If I'm Naselli, my strategy is to probably save a ton of fuel right now, and knowing that I think I'm going to be with the trail. I've been trailing all along in this group of 5. Now I'm trailing in this group of 3, I'm pretty sure he's skilled enough to save a ton of fuel, and he'll go as long as he can and try to make this fuel stop as short as he can. My only worry is that if this group that I'm in falls too far behind Nam and Berbigal, my race may be over for a chance for the win. But he's the one right now with the best chance to have saved enough fuel.
There is a pass by Sadro, as we just saw Arabian make a pass on Winner. Winner now all over the rear of Arabian's car, and fastest lap of the race at a 1:55.6 for Nam. So these guys are certainly not slacking at the front of this race. Looking rearward from Arabian's car at the front of Winner's machine.
That's without any draft in front of him. He may have gotten a little bit of a push from Berbigal at one point, but that was without anybody pulling him along. So that shows you the pace that Nam really has. The guy is just amazing in this car.
Yes, indeed, as they are doing their best to navigate safely around cars.
And I think this switch here of Arabian in front of Winner may be a bit strategic, as it looks like Winner's got just a little bit of body damage to his car, which means he's not cutting the air very good by himself as the lead car. So let's put Ferenz maybe as the lead car here, especially down the long Casino Straight, might be the better move.
Yeah, that didn't look like Winner fought too hard, did it, to stay in front of Arabian? That car off at the chicane there. Ooh, careful. Well done.
Jackson again, now with the fresh cars, got himself clearing out of the way. But this is where, if I'm Winner, it wouldn't surprise me to see him pit soon if he thinks that there's enough damage that it's really slowing him down.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If I'm Winner or Naselli, maybe I say to myself, okay, let me try to throw a monkey wrench into this plan. Of course, we know from previous interviews with Winner, what he says is that he just wings it on pit strategy. But I believe when we brought that up before, Larry, you were dubious that that's actually the case.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have a strategy going in, but you also got to be willing to be flexible with it. And I think that was sort of Winner's attitude, is you're always willing to make a change on the fly if the situation dictates. And this situation may dictate if he thinks his damage is bad enough that he needs, because you don't often see him with damage. In all the races we've been calling, when was the last time we saw him with any damage on that car?
That's true. That is true. And there was a pass of Cox on Perry into the hairpin back there. That was a pass for 18th, although Perry now all over the rear of Cox's car and is going to do everything he can to reverse that at the end of the Casino Straight. Let's see what Perry is able to do. It looks like he's got maybe half a car length. Cox will wisely tuck in behind.
Oh, it's tough to carry any speed. It kind of hurts both of you when you fight yourselves going through that last chicane, because nobody gets a rundown down front straights. And if they're trying to catch Dominique Bureau out in front, you don't really do it too well if you're going side by side down past the wall of champions. So maybe they're both thinking, let's work together a little bit. If we're going to swap places, that's great, but let's work together and maybe catch Bureau for 17th out in front of them.
Well, it looks like we have a pretty good battle going on for Spec 2 between Haraski and Renders, if my reading of the numbers is correct. Now, as I recall, they had a little group of 3 or 4 cars, but that has winnowed its way down to just these 2 guys. And although they're running in 15th and 16th overall, they are in fact leading Spec 2 is
Yeah, so this means
Rasky with Renders
Rasky,
just behind.
yeah, if you recall, a few moments ago, Rasky was on track behind a couple seconds there behind Render, so he's able to make that up and make that pass to put himself up into the lead here in Spec 2.
Well, it's almost a curse, isn't it? Because if you win the Spec 2 championship, you have to move up to Spec 1.
You do. So, yeah, it's a curse, but it's a bit of it's a little bit of a feather in the cap too, to be able to say that you were able to take that Spec 2 crown like Antonio Race did last season and move yourself up to the the quote unquote big boy league and challenge yourself to the next level. It's good to be able to say you won it, but you're always looking for the next challenge too.
Well, Race is certainly bearing up well under the pressure, running currently in 10th, and it looks like he is battling West for 9th, if my reading of the numbers is correct. I don't think Renders is going to be close enough to do anything on Rasky this time around.
Quite.
Let's see. And it looks like Van Dormelen and Arnold have taken advantage of the pits.
Yeah, in fact, a little later than I expected for Van Dormelen. Considering the damage, he's one of those I would have expected that much damage would have come in earlier. But good time to get in, get that free car, and get back out of there.
Yeah, as we see their cars turn back into pieces of art. But here are your leaders. This is Nam leading Burbigal. And I think with that group of Arabian, Winner, and Naselli seems to have dropped a little bit further behind. Nam and Burbigal just slaying this track, aren't they?
Yeah, it's about 2 seconds right now, and this is where I wonder about, Winner and Arabian and Naselli. Do they, as we've been speculating, do they come in for that stop and try to just undercut them maybe by, short filling the car? And they are always very good on that pit stop and take their chances. A little bit of a slip there sideways for Nam there in the middle of that hairpin. But you run that risk of coming out in the middle of traffic and having to fight. So we had talked last week with Winner. Did they pit too late because they ran into traffic, and now you've got that going on as well? You don't want to put yourself where you pit at a point where also you come out in front of traffic. You want to make sure that you come out and have the maximum amount of speed, maintain your pace, especially when the gap now just at 2 seconds is a manageable lead to be able to catch that up at a pit strategy.
Well, Burbigal effects a pass on Nam into that wall of champions section and will now lead him down into Senna.
That's a good working together right there. That's Nam and Burbigal recognizing the situation that Nam didn't get a great run off the hairpin, and Nam just giving the room to Rafa to let him through the inside and not fighting him, knowing that the gap to the next 3 is just about that 2-second mark. So that's good. It's good working together for your co-opetition, so to speak.
Yeah, well, they know that if they let Arabian, Winner, and Naselli catch them up, that they'll have even more work to do at the end of this race. I mean, we've seen that all season long. Any one of these guys certainly capable of taking over the lead and taking the win. So they want to stay away from those 3 behind if they possibly can. And that's true all the way up and down the timing tower as we see some cars headed into the pits, West, Haycox, and Kamara. But just like we were saying earlier, a huge strength of field in this league. So just about anybody is capable of taking the win.
Yeah, this is a very tough league. These are strong drivers up and down. These guys they're strong every single lap, every corner. Not a lot of mistakes made. Yes, we've been talking here already in the first 25 minutes of this race. There's a lot of damage on cars, a lot of incidents, but that's just because you've got 50-some cars on a very tight and winding track with a lot of chicanes and not a lot of real estate to do much with. So things just happen, but it's not because these aren't skilled drivers. These are definitely at the top of their game, every one of them.
Well, we're looking forward from a Winner's car at the rear of Arabian's car, and they are sitting at just about the same spot as they were before. Winner might be going
on. Watch this. Classic bump drafting. Yep. And that's a smart move. And this is, I go back to, I'm pretty sure this was planned that Arabian would be in the front. Winner is the trailing one because Arabian's got the cleaner car. And Arabian would be able to cut the wind a little cleaner.
Yeah, the real-life symbol.
We've got a pit stop for
into
Arabian.
the pits.
Yes, the Burbigal.
In real-life racing, you stick your hand up and make sort of a chopping motion with your hand to let the other drivers know you want to line up.
Yep.
But you can't do that here.
No, but they're all in the same communication channel, so they can talk to each other that way. At least I know Winner and Ferenz are both on the same channel.
Like Fritcher and Dobek are both into the pits as well. So Arabian has got that gap down to 1.5 seconds to Nam.
And
Bergal not in the pits very long at all, was he?
No, we're going to keep an eye on that pit stop time and see how that compares to when the rest of the group. Now, Nam may want to come in and do the same thing quickly because he no longer has a drafting partner. Even a little bit of a push draft from behind does help the long straightaway speeds, because you notice the gap to Arabian winner and Naselli behind him now is only 1.4 seconds. Remember, it was 2 seconds about 3 laps ago.
Yeah, that one lap really did seem to change it up. Now I'm having to tap the brakes just a little bit to avoid the number 359 machine here on the outside of the circuit. Also throws a little bit of a monkey wrench into Arabian winner and Naselli's plans, but they get back together.
That helped Nam just a little bit, having that there. But yeah, I'm curious here now. Does Nam make the trip into the pits not having a draft partner, or does he continue to just go it alone?
Well, we know that he's fast even by himself. I mean, he's got that gap up now. He's taken another 0.3 just since the hairpin. So we know that he's fast by himself, as we saw in the opening laps of this race.
But watch that come down as behind him, winner is pushing for Arabian. Look at that push he's getting. Take another 10th out, coming here to the chicane by the Wall of Champions.
And Naselli into the pits.
So it'll be interesting to see if Naselli is able to do a little bit of undercut here, take on less fuel, as he seemed to be the one at the trail of all of this front pack, possibly able to short shift and save fuel over the opening segment.
Yeah. Around we go once more. Interesting that Nam did not decide to go into the pits.
He did not, staying out a little longer. There's clean track in front of him, and maybe that's his debate right now, is as long as there's clean track, he wants to stay there, doing that, you know, weighing your benefits there of, do I come in, risk coming out in dirty track, or do I, you know, want somebody to draft with?
So that was a replay of Renders and Perry at the hairpin. Renders spun his car. It looks like he's been caught by Shook there. I think I saw Shook's car in the rear. There's Naselli getting all over a car who's blocking his pit exit. Oh, that is not going to work well for the Naselli undercut. It looks like Naselli, though, has come out in front of Bohm. There's Bohm at the rear of your picture there.
But Naselli came out seconds, many seconds behind Berbagal. I remember when he went in the pits, he was only about 2 seconds behind when this all started. Now he's about 6. So that definitely hurt him. And looking at their actual stop time in the pits, it wasn't much. But I think Naselli's pit lane in time, and then that little bit of an issue there coming out, hurt him tremendously.
Well, while we've got a few minutes, let's look at our championship points, if that suits everybody. Let's see if we can have a look at Spec 1. Let's see here. So Spec 1 results. Currently, Rafael Berbagal leading the series, followed by Aero Nam with 11 points adrift, followed by Austin Winner at just 27. And on down the list is Florence Arabian, Maurizio Naselli, David Bohm, Daniel Sadro, Michael Dobek, Hugh Haycox, and Antonio Race down into P10. It looks like our leader might have pitted there. It looks like the whole gang is pitted.
3 of them are, yeah.
Yeah, the whole gang into the pits.
Yep. And you notice those 3 coming in happen to be 3 out of the top 4 in our points are pitting right now.
Absolutely. And here are our Spec 2 standings. We have in P1 is Miro Hraski, followed by Claudio Vecalebre, Nico Shook, Aaron Vagley, Thomas Renders, whom we saw just a moment ago, Tom Gradwell, Adam Bradshaw, Brett Nordstrom, Yost Simpkins in P9, and Brian D. Short in 10th place. Not too much. I gotta say, I think Spec 2 race, or the Spec 2 championship, is a little bit more exciting than Spec 1, just going by points, as we see Berbagal making a pass there.
Very, very tight. But take a look at this. Nam was able to come out right next to Berbagal, but so did everybody else. But Winner a little bit wide. But
so I don't see wide here with Stevie Ray just ahead. They'll have to battle it out, although Nam just lets it breathe a little bit, decides not to have a wreck.
But I don't see Arabian, and Winner gets stuck behind the slower car there coming out, so Winner not able to keep up with Nam. And Arabian had a little bit of an issue, I think, there with his fueling numbers. So we've at least got a battle for the lead, the virtual lead between these two. This is actually the overall lead. It looks like most of the folks have done their pits now. Winner is going to need a little bit of help to catch up to the leader. He's just about that 1.5 seconds back. He might be able to do it with some lap traffic.
Yep, there is our series organizer, Stevie Ray, doing everything he can to stay out of those guys' way. it wouldn't do to spend all the time that he spends setting this series up and then have the be a rolling speed block, would it? So here
Thanks,
we go
Stevie.
once more down into the hairpin. I think we will probably be in much the same position. Winner is now wishing that Arabian had had a slightly better pit stop so that they could work together to catch these two guys up. Winner now forced to run all by himself, and we should see, I just saw Arabian's car back there. There's Naselli ahead of Arabian, and I believe I saw Bohm's car back there as well. So everybody's spread out on the track, not able to work together the way they were before, and not able to work together the way that Nam and Berbigal will be able to do.
And you can see just there as Nam's doing exactly that, just trying to push Berbigal along to try and hold Winner behind them, knowing the situation, got to hold it down to these two. But to look at these two now in the lead are also, as you just showed, our points championship leaders with Berbigal just 11 points ahead of Nam. Now, the way that the points work in this series, the Spec 2 guys earn their points based off of the Spec 1 winner, which is why the Spec 2 championship points are always so close, because they're earning generally fewer points. They're not earning 100 points for a victory. They're earning whatever their ratio of points would be on the overall finish. The Spec 1 points being only 11 points at the top is extremely tight, and just another 27 points then from Berbigal in the lead to Winner. So 27 points separating the top three is extremely tight. So if Winner can get up in there, we could have a three-way fight for the points and a three-way fight for this race among our contenders. This is extremely tight. And now maybe we'll get a little bit of draft here for Winner with the 223 car right nestled between them.
Yeah, that's Justin Huffman doing a great job on track out there.
Yes. Our Spec 2 leader, Brasky, also working his way through the field, currently 16th overall. He's got Bureau and Van Dormelen in front of him. He wants to mix it up. I think he'll fit really well in the Spec 1 group next season if he's able to ultimately win the Spec 2, because he's mixing it up pretty good here in the top 20.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing a great job. It's got a little bit of damage on the car there, but hey, those things happen. Do they not? I think he might have gotten, well, I don't know about that. I was going to say I thought he might have gotten it mixing up with renders. And there's Huffman, I think, has spun at the hairpin there.
Yep.
It can certainly happen.
Rafa's looking for a little bit of draft as well.
Here we are looking at the rear of Huffman's car from Winner. Let's see what happened. Left the braking pretty late and just had a little spinaroo. Held up Winner a little bit, but I think Winner might have kind of seen that one coming. Here are your leaders once more. Berbigal leads Nam across the start-finish line. Just about 6-7 minutes to go in this race. And I think that in terms of our Spec 1 winner, it's going to be probably one of these two guys. I'm not optimistic, Larry, about Winner being able to close this gap.
Yeah, we've seen crazier things, but it's going to take some help there of somebody either giving a great draft for Winner or something to slow these guys down, because their pace right now is just tremendous. Look at their last lap. Berbigal and Nam 56.3, 56.5. Winner 57.1. Now Naselli was able to clip out a 56.1, but he's so far back. Winner's going to have to put in those kind of times consistently over the next 2 or 3 laps to be able to catch anywhere near these guys. But right now, Berbigal and Nam are trying to make this a 2-horse race as we wind down the last 5 minutes.
So the question now is, I think, where and when will Nam attempt his vault? Oh, Berbigal having a little bit of problem there. Nam all over the rear of his car. It may not have to wait until the final lap. Nam might be able to have a little bit of pace here on Berbigal as we head down into the hairpin. So I think it is going to be a break-off championship into the hairpin here as we go too wide. Here we are in the braking zone. Nam decides to slide underneath, tuck back in behind Berbigal there. I think he probably could have hung that out a little bit more, but I guess he just figured there's no reason to chance, spinning the car or having an issue under braking.
Well, the trick to this, exactly, yeah. Why do that, and then why slow you both down knowing that Winner is just 2 seconds behind you? If the two of you end up going so slow side by side and then get no run down the casino straight, you might have an Austin Winner right there behind you. So wait for the better time. But if you're Nam, as far as when do you make the move, well, the best move is a great run off of the hairpin and a super clean pass, and you've got it all the way done before you get to the last chicane, so that there's no chance by the time you get to start finished for any kind of a repass. Worst case scenario is you don't get that great run off of the hairpin, and you now are running side by side into the final chicane, and it becomes a complete toss-up. of who's going to make it to the final run, or worse, you go through the final chicane and you give the other guy a better run to the start finish. So those things can happen. There's just enough run from the last chicane to the start finish to get a repass. So it's not a guarantee that if you're the lead car coming out of the hairpin that you're going to lose this race. You can get it back.
It is a terrible few seconds there after you come out of that final chicane to the start finish, because it's so long and you're starting from very low in the car. So if somebody, as you're saying, if somebody gets a run on you and you have to just watch them slowly drive by you, there is nothing you can do.
Yeah, and that's why it's important that if you're the car trying to make the overtake and you really want to win this race as the second car in the line making the pass after the chicane, is that you need to make it a clean pass. If for some reason you're forced to go side by side through that chicane, you're almost better to have started out the lead car, because now you might get the better run. It's going to come down to whoever gets the better run through that chicane to be able to, even a side draft will help you get the better lead to the finish line. You could end up side by side and it's a complete toss up.
Well, there are so many ways to get this hairpin wrong. You know, there's the heavy braking in, there's your turn in point, there's when you get on the power, and I think I see Bohm has had an issue in the hairpin there. It's just, and your track out, like, you know, you can get wheel spin there. Normally, as we know, we see Nom pull out there. He might attempt to take the lead.
Make it clean. Nope.
Looks like Nom is going to take over the lead, although Berbigal might very well be able to do what you were just describing. He pulls right back out and will attempt to take that position back. Berbigal will have the inside after this little bend.
That's the risk. If you aren't completely and fully ahead to control your own destiny through that last chicane, any kind of compromise, now all of a sudden the trailing car gets the better run and gets exactly what Rafa just did there, the better run to start finish.
You really told the future on that one, Larry.
Yeah, I've run these once or twice.
Well, once more we go. We should have, I would guess, maybe 2 or 3 laps left to go. So we're going to see these two guys battling it out. But I tell you, who doesn't have to battle too hard is Miro Hraski, running all by himself in P16 and leading Spec 1. There's Van Dormelen into the pits. Has he had an issue? Or is he
no. I'm guessing penalty. We do have a drive-through if you exceed the incident counts, and I'm suspecting, given the amount of damage he had before his first pit stop, I suspect this might be a penalty.
Oof. Well, he won't be pleased about that. But anyway, I was trying to sing the praises of Miro Hraski.
Yeah, he's done really well for himself, currently leading in the Spec 2 by about 10 seconds or so over Thomas Renders.
I had the distinct displeasure of being in a race with Miro this week and holding him up at the hairpin, and I was forced to tender an apology. It's just not...
Yeah. It's easy to hold someone up in the hairpin and easy to throw apologies, luckily.
Yeah. Well, there he goes. Congratulations to him.
Yeah.
We have Dobak leading a group. That is West and Race just behind. Race will be looking to pounce if he can.
It's the battle here for the top 10.
Yeah, now Race was running in P10 a little while ago. I guess the pit stop strategy didn't suit him well. As we see Sadro and Manny's machines.
All right, we should be on final lap.
Yeah, final lap. So it's all going to come down to this lap between these two cars. Riding on board with Nom, looking forward at Berbigal. There is a car ahead.
And that's the other wild card, is now all of a sudden, not only is Nom trying to pick his spot, can he get that run like I talked about off the hairpin, now he's got to do it with another car in front, which is the worst scenario. If that car is still there coming off the hairpin, it gives the lead car somebody to draft behind. But I suspect they're going to catch that lead car between these upcoming 2 chicanes.
Yeah, you would think. Look at that rotation. Nom really closed up on Berbigal on that one, and that car moves aside. But Berbigal says, "No, I want your help."
Yeah. As Jeff Cantor, the 244, very nicely moves aside and lets these leaders through. Everyone wants these 2 leaders to duel it out on the track here for the finish.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh no, Hraski's dropping.
Uh-oh.
He spun at Senna.
Doors open for Renders and Shook.
Yeah, but they're a little bit too far back, I think.
Oh,
So here we go.
Yep, this is now the point. Looks like a decent run for Nam. Nobody, I don't think, close enough for him to get a draft behind for Burbagal. So Nam's got to make it clean. If he can't, he's got to get the run of his life through the chicane. Defensive line now looks like for Burbagal. He's not going to give him the inside. He's going to make him go outside.
Well, here we go. We will see that sign, and now here is the braking zone. Nam brakes before Burbagal does. Oh, a tap. A tap in the chicane, and around goes Nam. So Burbagal will take the lead, and it looks like Winner will finish P2, and that looks like Naselli in P3 there. There is your winner, and here comes Winner. Nam all the way back down to P5, just behind Florence Arabian. And that is series organizer and hero to the commentary team, Stevie Ray, in the number 11 machine. Here comes Haraski around the hairpin.
His margin just a little less, but it looks like he is still ahead of Renders. But Renders much closer behind him now.
There is Renders into your picture. I don't think he's going to be anywhere near close enough to make anything happen here, unless Haraski has a positively disastrous incident at Wall of Champions. My hair car is wrecking. That's not good.
Yeah, Haraski able to just was
that Fritcher?
Fritcher, I think they're at the final chicane right there on that second apex. It's
Oh, dearie me. That was the car that I heard wrecking from that camera that's over the chicane.
It's that, the last moves there. We just saw it with Nam and Burbagal going side by side there. It looked for a moment like it was going to be clean. A little bit of contact there, and with Nam there on the outside, unable to be able to get the car enough room there, and Burbagal able to take that win. For Nam, he drops to 5th, but it looks like some of those things were happening all the way down the field as well.
Well, that was just Van Dormelen we were looking at a moment ago. This is Jacobson and Kern. There's Paolo Breme in the 555 machine. Nice work, gentlemen. Kern seeing it just was going to see if he could try to pip Jacobson at the line there, but it didn't quite work out for him.
Close finish, but yeah, a lot of these guys, look at this, just coming down right at the end here. Good shot there of Jonathan Mignot making another run right down to the finish. Lots of close finishes right up to the end.
It is that way every week. That is what we love so much about this series. Cars still finishing on track.
My guess is that the demo derby is probably going to be down in the hairpin, if I had to guess.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me a bit. Well, here are your results. Your winner, Rafael Burbagal, who had a little taparoo with Nam there in that final chicane. And Nam came out the worst for that, finished all the way down in P5. And P2, of course, Austin Winner. We often see him on the podium, if not the top step. He is followed by Maurizio Naselli, who is followed by Arabian. All these guys battled all race long. Bohm with a pretty good result in 6th. Let's see where Bohm started. He gained 1 position over the course of the race. Well done to you, Bohm. Followed, of course, by Dan Sadro, Jorg Manny, Michael Dobek, Bobby West into P10. Antonio Race finished up 11th. Must have had an eventful second half of the race. He was in P10. Finishes up in 11th. He's followed by Josh Arnold, Dominique Bureau, Andres Bertoni, Yuri Cox, Miro Haraski, your P2 winner. Well done, Miro. In 16th, followed by Haycox and Rodriguez in 17th and 18th. They are, of course, followed by Thomas Renders, Nico Shook, Mick Carr, Jason Perry, Tim Van Dormelen, Henrik Kamara, Peter Mizarek, Jeff Fritcher, who had an incident on the final lap, Paolo Breme, and Jeff Jacobson down in 28th. In 29th, we had Bob Kern, followed by Claudio Vacalebre, Ian Gibson, Jay William Smith, Yost Simpkins, Brian D. Shore, Jonathan Mignot, Ken Batley, Jeff Cantor, Brett Nordstrom in 38th place in the 279 machine. And in 39th, we had series organizer Stevie Ray. Thank you, Stevie Ray, followed by Johan Batinga, Flavio Andalo, Justin Huffman, Paul Jackson, the singing Scotsman Jerry McAreevy, Stephen Mitchell, Patrick Moore, Tom Gradwell, Adam Bradshaw in 49th place, who's followed by Raymond Nunez, did a couple races with him this week, and Michael Nelson in P50. Aaron Vagley there in 51st, followed by Chris Georgiandelis, Hugh Haycox, Stephen Elson, Arthur Grant, and Nutt. Last but far from least, number 1 in our hearts, Antonio Jalbert. Well, great race, everybody. It looks like we do have someone waiting here in the interview waiting area. Let's just see if we can bring him in here really fast. Austin, is that you?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I changed my Discord name because I'm getting into too many Discords and didn't want my real name out there.
That's okay. We figured out who you are. So congratulations on your P2 finish there. Quite an eventful race. Talk us through it.
I think I got a little lucky. I came out of the pit, and I was in the draft of Arrow, and then made a mistake, and just couldn't keep up with him. And I think he and Berbagal had more pace than I had this week, and combine that with I felt like I had to take a few risks to keep up with them even in the draft, and then I started making mistakes, so got in my head, and then I couldn't run my own race. But they got together there at the Wall of Champions, and I kind of snuck a second out of there. I don't deserve it.
Well, I mean, that's racing, I think. But talk us through the moment where you're coming down the casino straight, and it looked like you just sort of let the car breathe a little bit and let Arabian come on by so that you guys could work together as draft partners. Is that something that you talked about, or how did that come about?
We didn't talk about it, but I think I was fine with it because he's pretty quick here, and I was having the issues. And I think at the time we were still close enough that I had dreams of catching the leaders to get back in the draft. So I don't want to go through the Wall of Champions too wide. I mean, then we'd have a 5-second gap, even though it was only 1.5 seconds at the time. So I let it breathe so we could go through their single file and I could just bump them.
Well, yeah, I thought it was going to work out too, but the pace that Berbagal and Nam had on this track, as you say, was pretty unbelievable. Still, I didn't see too many mistakes from you, but if you say they're there, they were there. What do you think happened on in terms of pit strategy? It seemed to really, it seemed like almost everybody struggled with the pits this week.
Oh, I have no idea how anybody else did. I came out all right. I was really close on fuel. I still had to save after the pit. So, just there's a lot of breaking points here where you're still in fourth, over revving the engine, and I was taking it up into fifth just to save fuel. So I don't know if I underfueled and got lucky that we didn't have an extra lap, or if other people were overfueling, but mine came out okay.
Well, great work. Fantastic race and a fantastic result. I've already forgotten where your standings are. Are you in second in the championship so far?
That seems about right. I don't pay too much attention to them. I just enjoy the Sunday race and have a good time.
Well, that is certainly the way to do it. You were running third, of course, behind Nam and Berbagal. We've seen you, at the sharp part of the field. As our, I say every week that just anybody up and down the timing tower could win this thing because the skills are so high. So it's one of the things that makes this league so much fun.
It's certainly a great group of people. The parity throughout the field, and not only skill level, but just sportsmanship. If you're down in 10th, 15th, 20th, people give you room. You don't have to worry about who's around you.
Yeah, that's true. And I got to say about this league as well is, everybody's really cool in the Discord, and it's just a great atmosphere. And that I think that's why we see such respect on track, because, the whole group has respect for one another all the time, not just when they're driving.
That's certainly true. I think we're all lucky to be a part of it.
Well, we're lucky to get to watch, and congratulations again on your P2 finish today, Austin Winter. Thanks so much for putting on a great show for us.
Thank you.
We will see you next time. That was your P2 finisher, Austin Winter. And it looks like Thomas Renders is waiting to have a chat with us. Larry, you want to have a talk to him?
Sure.
There
hey,
he
Tom.
is.
Thomas Renders. Hey, congratulations on your second place in P2 this week. How was your race today? A little busy out there, it seemed, today, huh?
Yeah, I think I managed to go quite well, especially the first half of the race. I was in a group that I could up with, but yeah, I wasn't really faster. I had a good qualifying, and yeah, then you're bound to be a bit slower than the guys around you. But yeah, the race went well. Only had one lap that was a bit worse. That was my in lap, and I lost some seconds there to Miro. So congratulations to him. He won today. He was also a lot faster than me. So yeah, it's good that he won. He deserved it.
Yeah, he was very quick today. He was having issues sometimes, occasionally spinning, as he was a bit erratic today. But you seem to be like the steady horse today. Always, every time we turn to you, you were just continue to put in lap after lap, very steady. But you mentioned about the in lap and the pits, and we just talked to Austin as well. Some of the folks seem to be struggling with their pits today, either struggling on the in lap or struggling with the fuel. Any issues with yours today?
Well, I think my strategy worked out pretty well. I had about 1 lap in my fuel tank left, so that was good. But yeah, I spun twice on my end lap, so I was very busy in my head, and yeah, my concentration lacked there. And I think that's why I lost time today. So yeah, a point of improvement, but I'm happy. So
This place takes a lot of concentration, doesn't it? Not a lot of room to be thinking about what's the next pit stop and checking your fuel levels, is there?
no, there isn't indeed. Calculation while driving is is pretty hard. I prepare for it beforehand, but yeah, to do the precise calculation during the race, that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, have you noticed at the end of the race, and Miro out in front of you had spun again, even on the last lap? If you had noticed this, I think on your relative screen, how he all of a sudden came a little bit closer to you. Are you seeing this? Do you kind of start, licking your chops a little bit as to maybe you can pick up that Spec 2 win?
I did indeed. I saw it and I thought maybe another time, but no, no, not great sportsmanship. But yeah, like I said again, he was faster, so he deserved the win today.
Well, great finish for you. Another podium finish there in Spec 2, and good luck to you next week.
And thank you for broadcasting.
Thanks, Thomas.
Well, that was Thomas Renders, who finished. Sorry, my screen is just obscured here. Well, he finished in 19th overall, didn't he?
Yeah, I think 19th overall. I think.
Well, well done
overall.
to him. Thank him so much for stopping by to have a chat with us. Unfortunately, we are out of time for this week's race, but what a race it was. Looking very much forward to next week. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to RaceVoice for sponsoring Weekend Warriors. I have been Jim Hodgson. Joining me on commentary was, of course, Larry McLeod, and in the production booth, Marco Barbanera. We look forward to seeing you next week. Join us again then.